It's a great day. My name is Shay Brown, the Happy Entrepreneur, and welcome to the Happy Entrepreneur Show, the number one business development and revenue focused late night show in the country where we're on a mission. And our mission really is to inspire. Our mission is to empower. And our mission is to provide you, that's right, you, the entrepreneur, the hardworking entrepreneur, with all of the resources that are necessary to execute that big vision you have for the people you were called to serve. And on this episode, we have the one and only Tish Shearer. Did I get that right?
Yes, you did.
Thank you very much. I've been practicing. Thank you very much. And she's here. And welcome to the show, Tisha. How are you?
I am great. I'm doing great. How about yourself?
Well, we are moving in the fast lane. We're feeling really good over here. And before we get started, folks are looking at the title and they're saying fervently, yeah, I get that right? Fervently. I did pronounce it right. Fervently intense. Fervently intense. Fervently intense. That's like 5 syllables. So can you talk first? What does it mean? So we can all be on the same page. And why that was so important to you that becomes the title. That becomes the mantra right now.
Fervently. Fervently means persistent. And so one of the things that it speaks to me is to always remain persistent in whatever you do. Even my business name is Fervently Creations. I'm persistent in what I create. I'm persistent in creating. I'm persistent in writing. I'm persistent in just life in general. So not quitting, showing up for myself, being persistent on how I move, how I shift, how I just broadcast myself and brand myself. But also in whatever it is that God calls me to do, to always remind myself to be persistent. Don't quit. Don't give up on yourself, but continue to be persistent. So fervently intense, fervently creations, just fervent, just be fervent. Fervent in your
So
prayers.
so what's the biggest challenge today then? I think it's a fair question to the person. Why do they struggle with being persistent? Like, with so much social media going on these days, I always like to say that there's Instagram that can get you excited in the morning. There's TikTok that might get you going right away. You can even listen to the Bible riding to work if you wanted to. Just, and this is, we're going to be part of our conversation, but I think it's a fair question since persistence is your thing. Why do people struggle with it today? Why do they struggle with staying on track and doing some of the things they just know they should be doing?
Because for one, we expect things to happen for us overnight. We've turned into this microwave generation that expect, like, as soon as you go and do something, that it happens overnight. It's just like once you plant something in the ground, it's planted in the darkness, it's planted, and right away it's not seen above ground. And so in that process of watering, and you're waiting for the seasons to change and you're waiting for things to shift, then what happens is you don't see anything. So you stop watering, you stop going back, you stop being persistent in what you're doing because you don't see a overnight success. You're not an overnight success. Your business didn't grow overnight over, and so you market a little bit, you market for a whole month, and you didn't see any growth, you didn't see any change, versus being persistent. Our thing is, oh, I'm gonna be persistent in 21 days, and we're so stuck on this 21, the number 21, that 21 days creates a habit, or in 21 days I could fast and pray about something and it's going to shift for me. Things is going to turn around for me. And then it's not there. So why don't you move your numbers out 100 days? Do 100 things, one thing consistently for 100 days. See how that worked for you. But we're so used to having things just microwave to happen overnight. And once it comes to entrepreneurship, once it comes to business, it's not an overnight success. One social media post is not going to blow you up. It's not going to go viral. You continue to be consistent in that. And even if that one social media posts go viral, or that one product that you're doing goes viral, you still have to be consistent. You still have to be persistent in that one thing. But it's difficult because we're too busy looking left and right. We're looking left and right, and I see how you're elevating, and I see how you're moving, and I see how you're shifting, and I see how your show is going, and I see how your business is going. And because mine is not moving as fast, I get discouraged, I get weary in well doing. And so that's basically what happened. We get weary in the process and we stop. And so even once it doesn't look like it, even though it does not look like you're moving, you have to continue to be persistent. You have to continue um, to be consistent, persistent and consistent.
I love it. And we're getting to your backstory in a moment. We'll get into the book that you have and the perfume you're putting out. But you know, I gotta say this. The person might be listening saying, Shay, it sounds so easy. What would she say to me, Shay? I'm a busy mom. I've got to take care of kids. Shay, she might not understand this, but not only do I work a full-time job, but I'm also a full-time entrepreneur, Shay. And Shay, I'm involved a lot in the community, and I'm also someone that people call in for the family. So I've got so much pulling and tugging at me. It's hard for me to be persistent doing what I need to do because I got to take care of a lot of folks. I have a lot of responsibilities. So what's your question, Shay, to me? Tish, as you're listening, the question is, we say the person is super busy right now. It's like, well, I just got so many things going on. One, how does Tish manage time? Or number two, how do you continue to be persistent when you got all this other stuff pulling at you? I mean, I think that's a fair question. You let me know. But they're listening, and we have a lot of dualpreneurs that show up for this show, and they might be curious. What's your view of the world?
How they say a plan to fail is failure to plan is a plan to fail. And so a lot of times we are not planning. So one of the things that I have to do is make sure that I'm consistent in not only planning my week, but planning out my month, looking and saying, okay, this is what I need to get accomplished in this month. How can I plan it out over the weeks? Then breaking it even down. How can I plan it out over the days? That's the same thing with our money, right? If you don't plan how you're going to spend your money, then you'll constantly be spending money with no structure, no direction, and then next thing you know, your money is gone. Same thing with your time. If you're not paying attention to how it is that you need to structure your day and getting that perfect work balance that works for you, and saying, okay, during this time I need to do this, that, and other, and not overloading your day, and understanding it's going to be some days that you're not able to strive in one area. I get it. I'm the mom, I'm the wife, I'm also in school right now for my doctor's degree. I'm also a author. I'm also an entrepreneur. And so I have to figure out, okay, what can I work on today? And be okay with that and not overloading and knowing my limits. Also, just not writing things down on a list just to fill up your list for each day, but looking at how much time is it going to take me to accomplish each task. And so it's a thing of planning. If you do not plan, you'll feel like you're constantly doing stuff and you're not actually getting anywhere. But once you actually plan it, you're writing down, you got it on pen and paper somewhere, and I'm writing down and I'm structuring. This day I need to do X, Y, and Z. And once I do X, I mark X off. If I do Y, I mark, and then once I'm marking that off. But let something come on that I have to handle just then and there, I'll even add that over to my list and I'll mark it off as well. But make sure that you're and so that way you see your progress. You see exactly, I am getting somewhere. It helps you not be discouraged, but it also helps you being persistent. Taking one day, I take my Sundays, and my Sundays is once I structure the rest of my week.
I love it. Listening to you, we're wondering right now. Whoa, Shay, she's bringing the fire. All right, well, she's going to talk about how you can do the exact same thing, how you can be persistent. But they didn't read your bio like I did, and there might be one to say, who is this person just talking to us right now? What's her backstory, and what led her to being on this path that she's on now, when she's so certain that this is what she's called to do? Okay, well, let's ask her. Who are you? Take a moment. We'll slow down. What's your backstory?
I am Tish Shearer. I am what I'm not even going to say I coined myself, but what God has labeled as the grave digger. I go back and I dig people out of the graves in which they have been left for dead, and those where people have thrown dirt on them, and ones that just feel like they have no purpose. Why? Because I used to be in that grave. And so once I was in there, once I came out with my grave clothes on, I knew once I took it off, that there was other voices still back there. They were still crying. There was people still in the same positions that I was once in. And so I use that in avenues for as preaching assignments, as well, but I also use it in forms of media, whether it is through my TV and radio shows, or if it's for his writing, getting it out, writing that way. I also have my own perfume line, but my perfume line is just to show, hey, to continue to be persistent in whatever you're doing. And so I have a bachelor's in biblical studies with a minor in Christian counseling. I also have a master's in biblical exposition, and then I'm currently working on my doctor's degree in biblical studies as well, where I'm doing a research on applying biblical forgiveness to childhood trauma. And so what pushed me through this was I've had a very colorful childhood, colorful past, and all that pain and stuff, I'm using it for a purpose. I'm making sure that none of the pain, none of the things that I went through is goes unnoticed or unvalued. That I actually take that and I go back and I bring it out into the community, but also give other people the chance to use their own voice as well.
One of the things that really attracted me to me was your heart to give and your heart to serve. And you say you're the grave digger. You go back, and I've been to some very dark places in my life. I failed more times than folks listening, by the way. Trust me, I've been to hell more than once. And for you to have this desire to go back and help folks not only get back on track, but stay on track, right? And that's the key part. You can get back on track. I guess the question is, if you had to break down and say, Shay, I'm going to share 3 steps that someone right now can do to really bounce back. Well, I'll set it up for you. Let me set it up for you. We have a segment here, a little early. We have a segment here called Today is My January 1st. And today is my January 1st for those folks that are listening, that are used to tuning in and used to being here. Today is my January 1st represents what? A do-over. It represents a fresh start. It means our past no longer equals our future. Well, see these gestures these days. They got all these gestures now. I didn't know I could do that. I feel like, okay, I told you I grew up in a Pentecostal church.
It was January 1st.
Everybody.
It was the spark of January 1st.
That's kind of cool, man. That's never happened before. This new software. I believe that God is a woman and she has an iPhone, and only she would create such wonderful things like this. Okay, this is not about me. This is not about me. This is all about Tish on the other side. So I shouldn't make those type of jokes. But I'm curious, what was a challenge you had, a setback that you had to bounce back from? Because folks might be listening saying, well, sure, life is perfect. 8 times bestseller. Got a lot of letters behind her name. Served in the military. Life is just good. I mean, was there ever a time where there was some setback, some challenge that rocked her? And how did she bounce back from it? Now, you don't have to share if you don't want to, by the way, but we love to ask that question. What was one of your January the 1st moments?
Well, my first January 1st moment, January 1st for me was the day that I was battling with depression and anxiety. And God told me to sit down, and he said, daughter, look up your name. So I got all giddy on the inside. And I'm like, oh, God's about to change my name. Once I looked at it, realized God was not about to change my name. He was enlightening me on what my name was. I was so used to walking around saying I'm depressed or I'm anxious or I got anxiety. I'm this and I'm that. Once I looked up my name, which my full name is Letitia, though I go by Tish. Once I looked up Letitia, I found out Letitia means joy and happiness. So the whole time that I was going around saying I'm depressed, I was walking in a false identity. So my January 1st was once I realized that I was not depressed, that I was joy, that I am happiness, and I had to start walking in that of being joy and happiness. And so that was my January 1st moment. But the setback that really got me with that, because it came, once it comes to inner healing, is layers to it. It's a process to it. This past summer, I ended up getting in a situation where the doctors had thought I had bacterial meningitis, and then they kept testing me for different type of meningitis. I had fluid around my heart. I had fluid around my heart, and I also had an infection on my heart. It was 7 days before a big event that I had planned for one of my book releases, and as well as a conference. And 7 days before it, I was in the hospital for 7 days. Got out one day, and in that I had to learn to really be persistent in prayer, for one, but also to depend on God and say, you know what, no matter what the situation looks like, no matter what it feels like in this moment, that I know that God had called me to that conference, and that I was going to make it to that conference, no matter what the doctors were saying or what they were trying to put in. So each time they came in there and they spoke one type of meningitis off of me, I prayed that off. They came in, they did a spinal tap and tried to put another type of meningitis on me, I prayed that off. And so I just learned the power of my voice at that moment to be able to speak the opposite, no matter who said it, but the opposite, and also trust God that once God tells you that he has an assignment for you to do, a work for you to get that it's going to happen. It's just like with birthing. Sometimes we'll birth, but it'll be complications during the birth. And so in that process, I had to understand that I was going to give birth to this thing that he had called me to do, and I was going to make it no matter how many days the doctor said I was going to have to stay in there. I knew that I was going to get out of there, and I continued to speak it. I continued to have faith. I got out of there on a Wednesday evening, and Thursday afternoon I was in Atlanta, Georgia, ready to rock.
Wow. Super
What
powerful,
an
by the way.
ID
Thanks for
card,
sharing.
but still.
Thanks so much for sharing. I appreciate that. It's always good to know that someone's life wasn't always rosy, right? Yes, she has a book coming out. I'm going to ask about that now. Fervently, tell us the name of the book. I'll let you say it. Tell us the name of the book, number one, the purpose of the book, and who this particular book. Now, she's written 8 already, ladies and gentlemen, so you know it's going to be a bestseller. All right, we already know that we know it's going to be a bestseller, but tell them the name of the book, the purpose of the book, and why you wrote the book.
So Fervently Intense is unleash upgraded. I'm sorry, Fervently Intense, upgrading your spiritual arsenal for victorious prayers. The revelation behind that was that once I was praying and going into spiritual warfare, I did what everybody else do. You know, we're sending arrows and stuff into the enemy's camp and whatever, and we're talking about horses and chariots and all this stuff. As a veteran, I could tell you, as someone that has a combat veteran and has been deployed twice, we're not fighting out there with arrows, and we're not using horses and stuff. We have up armored vehicles. We have semi-automatic weapons. We have missiles and stuff that we was using. So instead of actually continuing praying with arrows, I began to say, wait a minute, why is it that in the natural we have seemed to evolve in our spiritual weapons? I mean, in the weapons that we use to fight in combat, but once it comes to our prayer language in the spiritual realm, we're still fighting with ancient weaponry. And so I give that revelation of how I got it, how I got the revelation. And then on top of that, at the second part of the book, part 2 of the book, it goes in and I begin to pray, give, different prayers and stuff, prayers and different things for us, like cleansing your home, your finances stuff. And it uses those things. So that's once we actually go in and we begin to call in an airstrike on whatever it is that's attacking your finances. We send guided missiles. If you gave me a choice between an arrow and a guided missile, I'm going to pick the guided missile because I needed to go further. I needed to do much more damage than what it is. And so, why wait till it gets so close up on me to where I got to use a sword or a shield to protect myself, once I can use something that is going to go out 100 meters or 350 meters or 1,000 meters or whatever. Why use that once I can use stealth bombers to come in? I'm sitting here fighting from the sea. Why can't I use submarines and battleships and stuff to fight from the water? So I try to attack it from all ends, from the land, the sea, the air, and everything. And so that's Fervently Intense.
I love it, by the way. I love it. That's so powerful. But you didn't stop there. You also have a perfume line, if I understand. You've been persistent. So the reason I'm bringing this up is so that you all know that she's not just talking the talk. And it's okay. Sometimes I had to talk myself into doing something right. But she's actually walking. No, she's really doing it. So she's persistent. She has a book. I think it's the 9th book that you've written, or once it's published. And then you also have a perfume line. What's the backstory behind the reason you started the perfume line you have now, and then what do you enjoy most about it?
So once it comes to the perfume line, I'm one that I love prayer oil. But let's be honest, everybody don't want to go around smelling like olive oil, right? So one of the things, and then I love frankincense and myrrh, but it's still, that's not something I want to go around smelling like. So I got with a perfumer, and I told her my vision behind it, told her that I wanted the hint of frankincense and myrrh in it, but I also wanted like a citrus type smell. And so it's completely organic. So those that have sensitive skin, those that may be allergic to alcohol-based perfumes, that this perfume is very ideal for you. It is something that will linger even once you leave out of the room. And so not only do I plan on, doing the we had the perfume line, we had the body wash. My body wash is sold out, but and also I have the body lotion. But I do plan on being able to do more things with it. Let's do candles. Let's actually do anointing oils. A lot of times, even with my own personal anointing oil, I put it in air diffusers and allow it to diffuse in the atmosphere. So instead of just putting it on the door post or whatever, I guess I'm totally unorthodox, I guess, in the way I pray and the way I do things. But and so I diffuse the whole air with anointing. So you walking in, it's like, okay, where was God? Was God just in here? And so that's basically it. The fervently intense. It has the thing with frankincense and myrrh in it.
One of my
So it's
favorite questions to ask on these shows, thanks for sharing, by the way, is what's one of the best pieces of advice you've ever been given? Right. And I love to frame it in the sense that I know you've had a lot of mentors on this journey of life, and maybe some were online, maybe some were in person, maybe some were through books. But of all the mentors you've had, and it's a tough question, but you can answer it. Of all the mentors you had, what's one of the lessons you learned from any of the mentors that you hold near and dear to your heart that you're going to share with us? And you at home, you can lean all the way in now, because you get to walk away with an idea that you can use for the rest of your life from a mentor you may never meet, through the power of these fiber optic lines right now. Your life really could be changed. And that's the seriousness of the conversation. So, Tish, what's one of the best pieces of advice that you've ever been given?
Oh, it's a tie. And if I can only use one, I would actually have to use, in this segment, I would actually use one that I got from Apostle Dr. Jackie Hadnot, who's also the perfumer, and was, stop looking at yourself as a grasshopper. You're not a grasshopper in your own eyes. And so a lot of times we get amongst other people and we look at ourselves less than, or we diminish our own value because of those that are around us. Like I'm sitting here with Shay Brown, and on the inside, I'm like, yay, but I also have to realize, hey, Tish, you're not a grasshopper yourself. And that's not to be cocky, because it kind of goes with my other one, was there's no superstars in the kingdom. And so that we're all to collaborate. But the biggest thing was, hey, stop looking at yourself less than. And a lot of times that's what happened, especially once it comes to entrepreneurships and stuff like that. We look at ourselves less than. I have to go back to my military mindset. Even once I approached people with ranked, I looked at them and my mindset was, you put your pants on one leg at a time, just like I do. And so some of these people, they put their pants on one leg at a time, just like you do. You just have to continue to be persistent. You have to continue to believe in yourself and show up for yourself. And so just stop diminishing your own worth, your own value.
Powerful. But you can't leave us on the hook. You can't say there's two, but you're only going to give us one. We're on the hook. We're like, that was good. Oh my gosh, that was good. I got to look at myself as equals. There's no superstars in the kingdom. I love it. Now they're like, what's the other one, Jay? Come on, don't
that actually, the first one was stop looking at yourself as a grasshopper. That was by Apostle Dr. Jackie Hadnot. The other one was from a pastor. Once I first got licensed into ministry, one of the things that she told me for it's in ministry was that, and her name is Cynthia Miller, Pastor Cynthia Miller. And one thing she told me, she said, there are no superstars in the kingdom. Stay humble. And so I said it wrong. She said, remain humble. There's no superstars in the kingdom. And so sometimes we begin to elevate and begin to go to the next level. And then we lose that humbleness about ourselves that even got us into those arenas, that got us a seat at the table. And we get at the seat at the table, and now we done got real cocky. And still not, it's kind of like a balance in between the two, not diminishing yourself, but also not being so cocky at the same time. So I keep both of those advice within me of, don't diminish your worth, but also don't get so cocky and arrogant and prideful in the elevation that you're experiencing as well.
I love it. What do you do for fun? Well, you're not out saving the world, making a big difference, being persistent with all these businesses you have. What in the LL Cool J do you do for fun? We want to know.
I shoot. I go to the range and I shoot.
Oh, geez. That's fun. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm afraid to ask, is there a certain target on the other side? Is there a picture of someone on the other side? Is that like
My favorite weapon is my AR-15. I have an AR-15. That's my baby. I love to shoot. The other thing that I kind of do for fun is, me and my husband will go out riding in our old schools. He has a 72 442 Cutlass, and I have a 1970 Chevelle. And
Wow.
so, like how you have some couples that are going, they'll go riding their motorcycles. We'll just go and kind of ride our old schools up and down the thing. We don't race them, but we just kind of go out and cruise. And so, between cruising and shooting.
But if you were to race him, I mean, could yours? I mean, I'm just curious. If he was, I mean, if you were racing, no, don't answer that question. But if you had
His
to get
will
in a
win.
race,
His will win.
oh, a wife to the heart.
His will
Maybe
win.
yours is a win. Sounds like me. Maybe tell me anything. Great. I love it. Of course, I'm on my third marriage, so I'm very, very happy now. God's blessed me. I'm super excited. We've been together 14
You learned
years.
that
I'm
each
very,
of
very
the other ones
excited.
was just practice. That was just
I've
practice.
learned the secret to success. Just yes to everything. There's a lot of benefits. Just yes. It works. Trust me. Okay. It took me a lot of years to get here, ladies and gentlemen. But anyway, let me first say thank you so much for being on the Happy Entrepreneur Show. Folks want to know, how can they best connect with you? Number one, what type of clients are you taking these days? If your firm taking on any clients, what type of clients are you looking to work with? And number two, how can both folks connect with you and stay in the conversation? Look at all this crazy stuff in the conversation over and beyond today. I don't know how they do this with this stuff. I mean, it's like you do things and all of a sudden things pop up and it's like, it's kind of really weird. I mean, pretty soon I'll be thinking things. You know what I'm thinking. This is like scary. I mean, come on.
What
Ooh.
people that I'm looking to connect with, I'm also a Christian, I'm a certified Christian mental health coach. I'm also a certified Christian life coach. And so those are ways that anybody that's just wanting to connect. I specialize more so in childhood traumas, helping people heal from their childhood traumas as well. So I love connecting with those, but I also have anthologies coming out. One of them is I'm Not Okay, which is, talking about mental health. So I'm looking to connect with authors. So if you want to write and be part of that, or want a speaking engagement, then one of the ways is to collaborate with me in writing. Again, it's no competition. It's all about collaboration. So with I'm Not Okay, and then also with Prisoner of War in the Mind Reloaded. This is our second one of doing that one. And then the way that you can get information to all of that is go to my website, www.ferventlycreations.com. You can also find me on social media. I'm on social media on all platforms, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram as Fervently Creations, or you can reach out on Facebook, and I'm Tish Shearer on there as well.
Well, thank you so much for being on the Happy Entrepreneur Show. We really appreciate it. She has anthologies coming up, ladies and gentlemen. That means we got to bring her back. You know that. We got to find out what this anthology is about. I tell you, are you also a master saleswoman or what? I mean, can she just say, hey, I gave you all a little bit, but I got more. So we've got to have you back. And I don't think I've ever said that on the show, but it's so fun. So we've definitely got to have you back soon. In all seriousness, I mean that. And thank you. Thank you for being on the show. Let me just say thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you for the invite. I'm telling you, I was just honored just to be on the show, or just to be reached out to, so thought of. So I thank you so much for this opportunity, and I do look forward to connecting with you, collaborating with you in the future. You have a lot of amazing things that's going on as well, and so I'm looking forward to connecting with you in the future to help me for sales and help me be better. So investing in myself by also collaborating with you as well. And connect.
Thank you. I'm looking forward to it. And thank you, the viewers. Thank you for tuning in every night at 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I love to say these words. I can't wait to say these words. I can't wait to remind you that you're awesome. Of course, I'm talking to myself. You're amazing. I got to pat myself on the back too. Pat yourself on the back. By the way, you're incredible. And for you, today is your January 1st. And because of just that one reason alone, isn't that kind of cool? That your best is still yet to come. They ain't seen your best yet. Your best is yet to come. Your best is yet to come. With that being said, my name is Shay Brown, the Happy Entrepreneur. Make it a great day, everyone. And I promise you from the bottom of my heart, we'll make some good things how we connect again next time. We out. Peace. Thanks, Tish. We out, everybody.